Today I wanted to talk to you about intra-abdominal pressure. So if you think of your core like a muscular box with your diaphragm on the top, your pelvic floor on the bottom, your internal obliques on the sides, your multifidus at the back, and your transverse abdominis in the front, then you've got this muscular box. Inside the box, pressure is kept low. Inside the box is known as your intra-abdominal cavity, and the body likes it when pressure there is low. But all sorts of things increase intra-abdominal pressure. So things like coughing, sneezing, shouting, even just standing up, but also anytime we do any sort of effort, so lifting weights, running, jumping, anything like that, pushing and pulling objects, this increases intra-abdominal pressure. So the function of the core is to manage that intra-abdominal pressure. So every time you are efforting or putting your body under load, you want to think about all those sides of the box, all the different walls of the box, tightening and becoming smaller and tighter. So your box goes from being nice and broad to being really small and tight. That's what happens when the muscles of the core function correctly. This helps manage all that pressure buildup inside. But when your core is not functioning correctly, one or more of the muscles don't speak to each other. So what could happen is that they don't function simultaneously, so they don't all squeeze in together at the same time. They could be uncoordinated, so one could squeeze and one could be a bit slow and sluggish. And then what happens is that muscle that isn't working correctly with the rest goes and becomes injured or strained because it is under too much pressure. So for postpartum women, often their pelvic floor becomes compromised after 9 months of pregnancy and childbirth. The muscles become weak and sluggish, and they don't function together with the rest of the core. So that's when things like leaking and incontinence can happen. So you have a big sneeze, and what happens? You leak a little bit. That is because the floor of your box is not functioning with the rest of the muscles. So when pressure builds up from a sneeze, that muscle cannot handle the pressure, and so you leak. So while this is very, very common, it is not normal, and it is a sign that you need to work your core. Also, if you're a man and you've gotten a hernia in your groin or in your abdomen, it's also a sign that you need to work on your core strength. If you have lower back pain, it's a sign. If you have difficulty breathing, in fact, if you have one of these chronic breathing conditions like asthma or emphysema, then most probably your diaphragm and pelvic floor are not functioning coherently with the rest of your core. So this is your sign to get started on your core strengthening journey.